welcome back to Salmon Pizzeria's Championship Roundup, where you are joined by your very, very happy host, Callum and our very, very unhappy co-host, Aiden. How are we today, Aiden?
I am perfect. Plenty of positives to talk about today.
Yes, there is plenty of positives for me to talk about. We start off with the midweek games, and of course, when it comes to Italian music, we just had some of the intro. Well, the ones being played down on the streets of Raith would have been Bella Ciao, as Raith Rovers managed to finally defeat Airdrie 1-0. This was very much a must-win game for two teams at the bottom end of the table, and this was a definite showing of where those teams were in the table. This was one of those where it's a case of we've got to win. We don't care how we got it, but we've got to win. But to go into more detail, we start off with Ref Watch is back.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Yes, referee made some interesting choices in this game. The first one we have is a penalty shout for the Rovers. Now, with this one, Rovers are on the attack, and one of the Airdrie players, he manages to bundle the ball towards the goalkeeper. Looks nothing suspicious, but there is definitely a handball in it because the way that he's fallen is he's basically like got like his arms like that and just going poof, just punched it with like his hands at his chest. It's one of those really weird ones where it's just like how, but then it's like with the way he's angled, it's like he's perfectly blocking himself from any view of the linesman or the referee himself, and it's only from like behind the goal camera that you could actually see what has actually happened. I don't think any of the players properly saw what happened, and of course it wasn't until after the game when Airdrie fans were debating about a later penalty shout that we'd actually seen what on earth had happened. It's like, huh? it was such a weird one. But that doesn't matter because in the 20th minute, Sam Stanton lays the ball off to Scott Brown from about 20 yards out on the right-hand side, who manages to bury it into the bottom left. And yeah, it's a really good finish. I swear to God, Scott Brown can only score from outside of the box. I don't remember the last time he scored a goal inside the 18-yard box. It's just long shots or nothing.
Does it seem like it's all coming together for you now? I know it's only a 1-0 win, but it's 3 points. Does it seem like it's coming?
It was a definite confidence booster especially with going 1-0 up, and then you had Easton, who I think he'd be the first to admit he had a shocking game. He had a shocking game Tuesday, but it was because he was doing a lot, but it just wasn't coming off. And it's like fair play to him. It's like he never hit away or whatever. It's like he had a one-on-one chance where it's a case of a confident, informed Dylan Easton buries it. It was one of those. Second half, fuck all happened. Genuinely, aside from Airdrie, there was a penalty claim for Airdrie where ball came in, Dabo controls it with like his chest, like that sort of area. But of course, his arm's out like that, and it bounces off his chest and then bounces off his arm, which again, it's like no one knows what the handball rule is anymore. So has he like touched that onto his arm? Is that like him gaining an advantage? And then there's a whole sort of like benefit of the doubt for defenders, and it's just no one knows anymore. This is it's like unless you're like slapping the ball about like it's volleyball, no one knows if it's a handball or not.
So were you at the game on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I was at the game on Tuesday.
From an Airdrie point of view, do you worry for Airdrie from what you've seen?
Yes.
Yeah, I was the same when they came to Capello.
Well, I mean, I'm not worried for Airdrie, but it's like if I was an Airdrie fan, I'd be very, very worried because they genuinely did. Like, Kev made one save, and it was a brilliant save, but it was like the only save that I can remember from that game. It was like Airdrie just it's like so many games in the past between the two sides where it's just been a case of you're always in this sort of fear of like, well, I see it in the past of the Ian Murray era where it's just sort of like, oh god, they're going to do something, something's going to happen, something's going to happen. No, genuinely did not have that feeling at all
Yeah.
in that game. Airdrie, it was just poor from them. But
Yeah.
of it not being the Ian Murray era, this is our first win against Airdrie in 6 games. But if we discount, but if we remove the Ian Murray era, it extends our unbeaten run to 18. And here's the
So
thing: this isn't just Ian Murray at Raith. This includes Ian Murray at Airdrie. So Ian Murray has been involved in 10 games between. Actually, no. Was it 10? No, it might be 12. But he basically has, for both teams, 5 losses and 1 draw.
Jesus.
He never won a game in this fixture, and he's managed both teams, and he's lost 10 of them.
the bogey game.
it's like, that's just incredible. It's an incredible thing to.
Do you think he knows this stat?
It's just like that amount of games, and it's like managing both teams and failing to win.
Yeah, that's
2 draws is it's just.
That's crazy. I wonder if there's any other managers with that kind of stat out there, or if he even knows that exists.
One of a kind, one of a kind stats right here.
He just sits there at home on a Sunday night saying, "I've failed to beat them again."
It's just like, can't beat them, join them. Oh no.
I can't seem to beat Raith Rovers. I'll go and join them. Right, who's up next? Airdrie. I've lost again.
Of course, that wasn't the only Tuesday night game, as we also had another 1-0 win, this time for the away side, as Queen's Park managed to beat Greenock Morton 1-0. Aiden, I believe you were at this game. Want to talk us through it?
The worst game, one of the worst games I've ever seen. Queen's Park get lucky, I'd say, in the first half because we controlled the game. The second half, Queen's Park were the better team, and they probably deserved to win it in the basis of that. But see, the first 20 minutes of the game, Kurt Broadfoot must have had about 1,000 touches of the ball. It was just back and forth from Buddenaukus to Baird to Broadfoot. It was just this triangle of passing for ages, and then it got to the point where we're sending it long and doing nothing. Filip Stuparevich has got a great opportunity, steals it off the defender. We've got a 2v1. He's at the edge of the box. Niall McGinn's in the middle of the box with nobody near him. And what does he do? He blasts it into the back of the stand with free Niall McGinn running towards an empty goal. And he just blurs it over the bar. Then they hit us in the counter-attack. And we said last week that Zach Rudden was not that good. And what happened in his next game? He scores a tap-in at the back post at Capello against Morton. It was always going to happen. It was their only chance of the first half. They took it. Fair play to them. They've got a striker that does know how to score goals, and that was it for the first half. You know, we controlled the game, but I said it before, we're keeping possession with no attacking intent. How do you win games of football doing that? Like, what's the purpose of keeping the ball if you're not going to go forward? Is it a case of let's keep the ball, the longer we've got the ball, the less chance they've got of scoring? We're so naive at the back just now. I don't know if it's because we've got a young goalkeepers come in for 7 days. The defence maybe aren't used to him because they've been that used to Ryan Mullen behind them and it's disrupted it. But again, get a grip. It's so bad. We're letting balls come into the box and we'll touch on it when we come to the weekend's game when we can see about 3 or 4 from crosses into the box. We can see a goal against Zach Rudden from a ball into the box. Second half starts, we start lively again. And then it was as if we hit 55 minutes and the players are like, what the hell do we do now? We've still no scored and we probably should have. In the hedge went. We lost it. Nothing really happened to Queen's Park attacking wise. Then Ian Wilson stops a counter-attack by wiping the boys' legs, gets everybody excited. We all start singing. Then a minute later they just smack Zach Rudden into next week. Sent off with 5 minutes to go. Does not care that he's been sent off.
I'm so disappointed the cameras didn't catch it.
I know,
it's like you're watching the highlights back and it just cuts across to Zach Rudden just wow.
It just shows you Ian Wilson walking by shouting at him. But they had an argument. Zach Rodden had hit him in the face from when he was trying to defend a throw in, and the referee done nothing. He basically shouted at Ian Wilson for it, and I think Ian lost a head completely. Because you could tell how annoyed he was at some of the Morton players during the game as well, just because we were so poor in the ball. And he's quite a demanding player, and I think he's just totally lost it. The referee's lost it at Zach Rodden, and he's just thought, take that. And it's a silly thing to do. See, a guy has experience and he's getting sent off 1-0 down, 5 minutes to go. We've got 9 injuries and he goes and gets suspended for the next 3 weeks.
Aye, this was slapping someone.
If you're going to do it properly.
Aye. Go out with a bang.
But no, he was absolutely raging. You can see it in the highlights when Zach's on the floor and he's walking by still shouting, screaming at him. I don't know what was going on before it, but did we deserve to win the game? No, but I also feel that it was a wee bit harsh that we get nothing from the game. Queen's Park with a better team second half, hit us in the counter attack in the first half. Other than that, there was nothing in it. It was two poor teams, I thought, at that point. You know, when you watch it, it was a game of two halves, and as I say, they were better in the second half, and we done nothing in it. But at the same time, I'm like, both these teams look like they belong at the bottom of the league. And I know it's a midweek game, it's freezing, it's raining, and the pitch can be slippy, and you can't play the usual stuff. But it wasn't for the neutral.
Yeah, it was very much. It was like watching the highlights. It was a case of, as you say, Morton. They were pretty dominant until the goal,
Yeah,
and as we've discussed like 1,000 times at this point, where it's a case of it's like once a goal has happened in a Morton game, whoever has scored that goal is going to go on to win.
yeah,
Because if Morton concedes first, that's it. They're done.
yeah. We've not got a plan B.
Nothing. You've
Yeah,
got no hope. But then if Morton score first, you just fly away with it.
yeah.
And
There's
it was a case of it's
nothing
like
with
once a
us.
goal. It's like once a goal was scored, it's like Queen's Park just had control of that game.
Yeah, I mean, we still kept the possession well in the second half, but Queen's Park got to the point as if they knew they're going nowhere with this. They're just going to knock the ball side to side. Don't waste their energy chasing it. And then as soon as they got it off, is again on the counter attack. Buddenauck's made some good saves, but nothing. There's things you'd expect him to make. But our top goal scorers are right back, Cammy Ballantyne. He's out injured for 8 weeks. I don't know who's scoring the goals. It's concerning.
Speaking of scoring the goals, somehow Livingston's unbeaten start to the season did finally come to an end, and it was somehow Dunfermline who did it. And they won 3-0. This was such a weird one. I'd said like so many times before, the thing with Livingston is they're not. It's just like at the game that they played against Raith, it was a case of they finished what few chances they created,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I might have questioned beforehand with the game against Ayr, where it's a case of if Ayr could finish, Ayr win that game 9 times out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt the same way with the Raith game, where it's a case of if we could finish our chances, we win that game. And of course, there was a caveat of a silly red card and whatnot. But it's just like somehow Dunfermline are the one who finish their chances, which is wrong. This hasn't been their season to do that whatsoever. How have you done this? It is just a case of so it's like Chris Kane scores early on 7th minute. It just comes from a rebound. It was a 1-on-1 for him. It was either for Chris Kane or for someone else, but Chris Kane was the one who got onto the end of the rebound and just put it into the back of the net. There was a couple of half chances from both teams. This didn't look like an entertaining game. This did not look like a 3-0 game.
No.
And then Benedictus gets a goal from a corner in the 56th minute. Chris Kane, same again from a corner. 71st minute. Half chances from Livingston. That's it, over. Like, for a 3-0 game, there really wasn't much. It was just nothingness, like the sort of half chances, pot shots, that sort of thing, and then just Dunfermline just somehow putting the ball in the back of the net.
It's a massive result for them, though, because, as we say, they've been really poor in front of goal this season and then going back 3 goals against the league favourites.
Aye, absolutely. And again, it's massive because of what happened at Starks Park with Airdrie being defeated. So that
Yeah,
leaves only 4-point cushion
and
at the
also
bottom of the table.
when you've got us right above them, losing games so much at the minute as well, they must be looking at it and saying, right, let's go and catch Morton now and see if we can overtake them. Because we had the gap over them, then we start losing. They've picked up a massive 3-0 win, boosts the goal difference compared to us. Goal difference will be massive at the bottom end of the table as well. If you can go back 3 goals, conceding none.
It's very much a case because it's like that's what we've been saying all season about Dunfermline, where it's a case of it's just like they've just got no one who you could say is reliable at scoring goals.
Yeah.
Chris King manages to bag a double. They win 3-0. It's a it's a freak result, but a very good result for them.
Yeah, it is. And for Livingston as well, on the other side, it's a big defeat. When you look at Falkirk, they just don't look like letting up. I mean, I'd also said Livingston are going to go on and win the league. When you lose that heavily, you also expect an immediate reaction from the players when you're up at the top end of the table. We'll touch on it for the weekend's game, and never really had that, did they?
It's like this. A Livingston defeat was inevitable the way that I'd seen them play in the 2 games they played against us, where I was just like, this team is just this isn't sustainable the way they're playing, because they were just having maybe like 5 or 6 shots a game and just somehow scoring 2 or 3.
Yeah, they were good in front of goal.
Other teams are having it's remarkable in the sort of clinical nature of their team in those games.
Well, that's what happens when you get players like Robbie Muirhead on your team.
But it's like the game against Raith, I was just like, this team is not. In both games, I was like, this team is not impressive. This team is not a top of a table team. But they were just grinding out these results, which are sort of the marker champions, but these results are really not.
Yeah, we said it after their United game. Was it last week when they went 2 up, then Ayr scored? They're so comfortable at defending. They usually see these kind of games out, but they've just gone and let 3 goals in one game.
Like 3 goals.
We played Livingston early in the season and they weren't good going forward. We also drew 1-1 with them. We played Dunfermline, and if we had somebody that could score goals, then we'd have beat them comfortably. But also they've just gone and demolished Livingston in their own at East End.
Aye, very much so. But we do move on to the Friday night game, because I would like to thank the BBC for giving us 3 games in 6 days. That our schedule ended up being.
Right, come on, how many of those 3 games have you won?
We've won 2, and that second one was against Ayr United. Scott Brown's men get defeated by Scott Brown's captain's men. So we've got the better Scott Brown.
I've seen his tweet after the game.
Didn't need him to come in.
I've seen his tweet after the game saying I can sleep well tonight.
So with the game, it started off with a couple of chances for Raith, but then Kevin Dabrowski makes an early save. It's a really good one. But then balls hit forward. It's bouncing along. Easton takes a shot from just outside the box. Keeper manages to stop it. It looked as though as if it was going to like go over and like loop in, so the keeper made a decent save. But unfortunately for him, it's fallen straight to Lewis Jamieson, who manages to get his first goal for the club. Now with the Ayr United goalkeeper, I can't remember his first name, but his last name's Russell, and he's
Liam Russell.
Liam Russell, that's it. He'd been released by Livingston or something.
Was it Queen's Park he was at last season?
That's it. It was Queen's Park. He'd been released by Queen's Park, and so I think I'd seen where it's like Ayr have used 4 goalkeepers this season.
Yeah, I was listening to Scott Brown after our game, and he'd said that he had to rotate the squad, and he played Liam Russell, who's also a young guy, and he'd done well against us, kept the clean sheet. He said, "Why would I change it?" So he stuck him with a young guy in goal. And I don't know what you thought of him being at the game.
From what I'd seen, I thought he was actually all right.
Yeah,
And it was like for a 19-year-old, it's like you don't stick a 19-year-old in goal for no reason.
Yeah.
In a championship game anyway. So he did what was expected of him, and it's like with that goal, it was like a good save. It's just a case of it's just falling at the wrong place. Lewis Jameson is in the right place at the right time. So yeah, obviously delighted for Lewis Jameson. That's his first goal for the club. So hopefully he can kick on, especially with his second goal that we'll get onto later.
Is he on loan from St Mirren?
Yeah, Jameson. He's on loan from St Mirren.
Yeah, I don't know if you signed him permanently.
We got him on loan at the end of August. Did we get him before? I think we got him in on loan before Neil Collins arrived.
Oh, right.
But then again, that's not difficult considering how long we didn't have a manager. But yeah, continuing on, we have Dylan Easton once again picking up a booking, and it was not for a foul. This is a weird one. Because watching the so it's like he's been booked for diving, but watching it back, I don't think he dived, but he wasn't touched by the airplane. I think like his foot just slips. It's like the weather was terrible.
I thought it slipped as well.
Night. It was wet.
Yeah, I also thought he'd slipped at the time. But reputation sometimes plays a part in it.
It's definitely a reputation thing.
Yeah, it plays a part a lot.
Yeah, it's like you watch it back and it's a sort of, no, that's not.
Yeah.
There's a whole sort of thing of him like putting like his arms out like immediately, and it's just because it's like, well, he's fallen over. People do that naturally. When it's like newly fallen over, it's not like when you're like kicked at, where it's like you just end up like going down like a
potato. I didn't think the referee had the best of games either. Obviously, he's booked him maybe off a reputation, and then we're going to talk about it. But that Ayr United goal is a goal. I'm not going to hear it. It's a goal for Ayr United. The referee had an absolute stinker.
I'm going to say the referee was very inconsistent with that sort of thing. So, with the Ayr disallowed goal, what has happened is one of the Ayr players has clambered over the top of one of the Raith players. I think it might be Hanlon, and that's headed it to someone who's obviously gone and tapped into the net, and the referee's given a foul. But then in the second half, one of the Airdrie players does the same thing. One of the Ayr players does the same thing, but like outside of the box. He comes flying in, and like Scott Brown's underneath. He's going to like control the ball, and it's like the Ayr player just like completely misses the nowhere near the ball. Just goes flying over Scott Brown, brings them both down. Why is it? It's a free kick for Ayr, and it's just sort of like, where is the consistency? It's like if that goal had counted, and then that was given as a free kick for Raith, I would be like, fair enough. If that goal was disallowed, and then it's a case of that's a free kick for Raith, okay then, that makes sense. It's like the same sort of foul, and then it's just what.
While we're on the referee here from the game, what do you make of Scott Brown's comments after the game? I don't know if he's been punished or anything for it, but obviously saying he can see why the referee's been put into the championship.
He is very, very bitter, but he is also completely correct. Because I think we say this every single week on this podcast, where it's just a case of what on earth is going on with referees at this level.
Yeah, it's really bad. I said it straight after the game on Tuesday night in the chat as well about our referee. He was so bad for both teams. Like Callum Davidson and Doug Emery shouting at him at full time. Get both managers side by side having a go.
Yeah, it was just...
It's really poor, the standard. And we're bringing in these Premiership guys. They've had bad games in the Premiership, they come to the Championship, and then they have another bad game. You can't just keep demoting them.
We're going to run out of referees.
And then we've got these guys that are trying to make a name for themselves and work their way up the ranks, but they're getting thrown into big games, like at the Morton Queen's Park game, and they're having an absolute shocker. So how do you balance it out? How do we get good referees? How do we train them up properly with the mistakes happening every week?
I know, it was just a mess. We could go on for ages about it. But
Yeah, I know.
we go from the bizarre to the beautiful, and that is the second Raith Rovers goal. This is a goal of a season contender already.
This is
Like,
hoofball Raith Rovers at its finest.
this not quite hoofball, but
David Hawking would be proud of this.
it was excellent. It was so Easton. So it's like on the left hand side. Easton passes it out to Dick. Dick just sort of digs it over Easton and two air players, and it's just set up nicely for Lewis Stevenson, who's been running in, and he hits it in a volley first time. It just goes right over, right across the box to the back, to the edge of the box where Lewis Jameson is at the back post, who just rifles it into the back of the net, and you're just thinking, wow, that is wow, like what a goal that was to watch. And then, of course, there was like the immediate realization. It's like, oh god, we're 2 goals up.
We go 2 goals up, and I'm like, yes, we're winning this today. You go 2 goals up, and you're like, Jesus, where do we go from here?
How are we going to mess this one up?
Lewis Stevenson, good signing. Happy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He's been getting. He's had some games where he's been a bit iffy, but it's just like his performance last week at the weekend was excellent. Like,
yeah,
so good. It's brilliant down that left hand side.
Do you think he's similar to what we said last week about Kirk Broadfoot? He's a good, experienced player, but maybe shouldn't be playing every single week.
No, I think he is one who can play more than Kirk Broadfoot.
Yeah, maybe more than Kirk Broadfoot, but maybe not Kirk every single.
Not 40. But no, it's like Stevenson's one who can play every week. It's a case of it's like 8 times out of 10 he's had a good game, but there's like every now and then he does have a game where he is just a bit iffy, and I think it causes some frustration with Rovers fans because obviously it's like, oh, this guy's just come down from the Premiership. He's played like 300 games or whatever for Hibs, so it's just like you're expecting him to be like the best player in the division, but it's like performances like that just.
Yeah, it shows his class sometimes.
Speaking of Paul Hanlon, my word, just what a player he is. He is. How have we got him? It's like he could genuinely do a job for Hibs at this point.
I wouldn't be surprised if he could.
I mean, I'm not saying much, but it's like, he's. I'm definitely biased in saying this, but I think Paul Hanlon is the best centre back in the league.
You are miles off it. You're absolutely miles off it.
I'm not miles off it. I think Paul Hanlon.
You're miles off it here.
Who is better than Paul Hanlon in the Championship?
Dan O'Reilly.
That's a shout. I do rate Dan O'Reilly.
Your connection seems to be going.
But anyway, we get to halftime. 2-0 Raith Rovers. And then we get to the second half. And it was easy. It was not the Raith Rovers I have come to know. We just controlled the game. Like, Jameson had a 1v1 where you'd argue he should have buried it to get his hat-trick. But aside from that, it's like Raith had a couple of half chances, but there really wasn't much that happened in the second half, and it was kind of relieving to watch, just because I'm so used to us just having these. Like I think I said after the Livingston game, where it was a case of if games finish at half time, we would have like 11 more points after 10 games. we dropped like that many points in second halves, and it was just saying that it didn't stop me from watching the clock for like the entire second half, just being like, please just end, please just end, please just end. But no, it was just a nice, comfortable 2-0 win in the end. Thank you, Neil Collins.
Much needed 3 points.
My lifespan was not shortened. But something that is definitely shortening lifespans Falkirk 6, Greenock Morton 0. Yep, this is goodbye, Aiden.
Ah, how do you even sum it up? Like, yeah, I knew going into the game it was going to be hard. We've got all these injuries, and you can't blame it on injuries though because we've still got good players in the team. Dougie said after the game he thought he could go there and go toe to toe with Falkirk. Why can you not go toe to toe with Falkirk? They're in the same league as you. You scored 2 goals against them earlier in the season. Having a couple of injuries in the team doesn't mean you can't. We didn't go toe to toe with Falkirk. We tried to play like fucking Barcelona against Falkirk, and they just happily pressed us all day. They're very good at pressing. Falkirk are really, really energetic in the press. And see, if you want to just pass the ball to a 40-year-old centre half, then you get guys like Ethan Ross, Calvin Miller running at you at full speed saying, get it off of him and I'll be waiting on it. And they've done it all day. Ethan Ross straight at Kirk Broadfoot every time he get the ball. And you've got either Gary Oliver, Calvin Miller waiting for him to just knock it to them and away they went. They weren't up for doing at Queen's Park on Tuesday night and just letting us pass the ball and play how we want to play and then catches in their half. They want to get deep into the where the defence were pretty much wherever defensive line were sitting, they were on it, no messing about. And we're letting balls come into the box and we're conceding headers. Ethan Ross is scoring a flick on from about, I don't even know, was it edge of the 18-yard box? He just flicked it into the bottom corner. How is that possible? The guy's one of the smallest players in the park, and he's had another chance as well from across. We built ourselves last season on having a solid defence, deal with balls into the box. We've got a good goalie in Ryan Mullen, obviously injured. He always comes and gathers it, so I say it again. I think the defence are maybe a bit wary about the goalkeeper being in, even though we know he's good. They don't know what he can actually do, and they're maybe expecting him to do something. He's expecting them to do the opposite. I don't even want to talk about the goals, to be honest. Yeah. All I will say on the goals is there was a pick of the bunch, and it was the sixth, Brad Spencer. He just rattled one in the bottom corner. Jesus, that guy's a good football player. But at this level, he's a really good, solid centre mid in the Championship. And you said in the last bit there that you think Paul Hanlon's the best centre back in the league. Brad Spencer's the best midfielder in the league by a country mile. Don't know what you think of Falkirk having beaten them. You're the only team that's taken them on properly this season, so I don't know what you personally think about how they play.
It was a case. It's like you were saying about how it's like Gamer was saying about a case of like taking the game to Morton, not to Morton. Jesus, imagine what would happen with that. But taking the game to Falkirk, and that's how I felt we dealt with it when we beat Falkirk, where it's a case of they like to play this pressing game where they pass the ball about quite a bit, and it was a case of we just matched them when it came to the press. That's what happened. And without the penalty, that game finishes 0-0. Let's just put it that way. It was very much a case of whoever manages to get a lucky break wins that game. But yeah, it's like Morton's performance was awful. Like genuinely awful. It's like you were wearing your bright orange kit and it was like training bibs, and honestly it might as well have been a training match for Falkirk. It was just ridiculous.
Training exercise. It was a training exercise, and I remember was it the fifth goal Calvin Miller scored, the diving header. You've got Zach Delaney right behind him, and he's just following this wee guy into the box, letting him take a dive at the ball. Kirk Broadfoot just watching the ball come in, and Lewis Badenochis just stood in his line. Nobody had any intention to do anything. It was if when we gave away that penalty 20 seconds into the second half, the heads were gone. Well, Dougie said after the game, you get it 2-0 down, fair enough, you can go out and maybe try and get a quick start, get a goal, and then the momentum should be on your side, try and sneak a wee 2-2. But seeing you can see the penalty after 20 seconds, it sums up the afternoon.
Aye, absolutely. And the thing is, I'd seen it put out. I think it might have been after the fourth or fifth goal, where it was a case of since half time in that second half. At that point, Falkirk had scored more goals than Morton had all season away from home, and it's just a case of you are in serious trouble if you cannot get a. Again, we're going to come on to this point later with some other teams, but it's like we mentioned with Dunfermline, where it's a case of they're down at that bottom end because they don't have a reliable striker, and Morton don't seem to have that as well, and they look to be heading down towards that bottom end of the table.
I mean,
Do you feel like that's the case?
No, I don't. We've said about all the injuries that we've got. We've got two big names coming back in Ali Crawford and Nathan Choi. Said they were fully fit and ready for Friday night's game. Two good players. I can tell that Ali Crawford's not playing for us right now. He's a massive miss. And then we've got a few other players close to coming back. Lamar Reynolds has just come back at the weekend, so we've got another option up top. He had personal issues going, so he was given time off. So once we start adding these guys back in, Morgan Boys is fit. I mean, I don't know why we've got a fit Morgan Boys. He was only out with concussions. So it wasn't if he had a muscle injury, we need to ease him back in. But we play Kirk Broadfoot at the back and we take Broadfoot off for Boys at 5-0 down. I mean, I don't know why you change your centre backs at 5-0. Just accept whatever's coming your way at that point. But in terms of the strikers and us not having somebody that can score goals, I think Philip Stupidevic is one of these guys that needs a goal to be confident in himself. And that I said it with the Queen's Park game, made Niall McGinn ready to tap it in. He went for it himself. I think he gets in his own head a lot. You can see it. He chucks it really easily, but once he scores, you can tell he's one of these guys. I want another. I want to see how many goals I can score. I'm no panicking at the minute. I think a lot of people will turn on Friday night if we don't win on the manager. They all obviously already have after getting scalped 6-0. But I'm one of these people that look at it. We were a team a few years ago that had Gus McPherson as the manager. A St Mirren legend. It had us finishing 9th in the championship. We beat Montrose and Airdrie in the playoffs to stay up. Dougie comes in and we'll finish 5th every single season. He's brought consistency back and he's made us, probably for the first time since Jim Duffy, a solid championship club where we don't really fear relegation. So I think we owe him that time to try what he's trying to do. He's changed the philosophy at the club for the style this season. I mean, I personally think the players are good enough to play that style, but he also sees something. It's his players. He's brought every single player at the club other than Cammy Blues in. So it's his players. He's trying to play away, and it's just not working at the minute. And I know injuries are hampering us, but you need a plan B. If you need to go direct, then you need to go direct. I don't fear it just now, but I know that a lot of people will turn on Friday night if Ayr beat us.
And of course, at the other end of the table, we have to talk about Falkirk. They're, thanks to other results, they are now 6 points clear. They are serious title contenders. They absolutely are. I mean, I know I said at the last one where it was a case of, the clocks have gone back. This is John McGlynn, but I mean, there's still time for it to happen, but they're putting in a very, very good shout for winning this title.
Oh yeah, they really are. It's the way they play as well. They play with such confidence. But what I'm intrigued to see, I don't think it will happen because of how well they're playing. But if Falkirk pick up a run of 2-3 bad results, will it hamper them? Also, you've said about John McGlynn not really having a plan B either. So what happens if Falkirk do start having that wee bad patch in the middle of the season? Will people start being a wee bit more anxious, and or are the fans going to be happy he's got us out of League One and we're pretty comfortable at the top end of the table? You know John McGlynn from his Raith days. How do you think can you see this Falkirk team under John McGlynn having a slip up?
I mean, their one loss is against us, and that was when we were not good. So there is going to be something there. Something's going to happen. Probably. I could be very wrong. Falkirk might just go on and win every game for the rest of the season. They might just like, that's the 43 game unbeaten run over. Let's go for 44. Just go off and win the league and then just fly up the Scottish Premiership or something daft will happen.
They've got a lot of really good players as well at this level. We say it every single week. And I said it last week that Ethan Ross is the best player in the league. It proved me right again at the weekend. He was on us from the very beginning, got himself a goal, got himself an assist. He was on it. And I mean, we've got a lot of injuries right now, right? It's Dougie's blaming the injuries on the pitches. 1 week playing on Astro, the next week playing in grass. I can't really get my head around it because we train on Astro every single day of the week, so I don't get the point. But do you think that he's got a case for that the injuries that we're picking up are all coming from the switch up every single week of Astro grass, or do you think it is just I need an excuse to put paper over the cracks here?
I'm not sure, because the thing is, like, Raith haven't. We had a bit of an injury issue in August, but then since then we've been fine. Like, we had Callum Smith come off injured from the game against Ayr. He just landed awkwardly, but for us, it's like since August they haven't really been an issue. Players have been coming back and they've been fine. So and again, Falkirk, they haven't really had any injury issues. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. But we go on to the next game, which is probably one of the funniest games I have watched. Airdrie 0, Accies 4. And this was, again, what is going on with Airdrie? Like, genuinely, how on earth did they not score in this game? So obviously it's a Lanarkshire derby, you know, obviously not the biggest one. The biggest one involves Motherwell. Gogsy will be happy with that being admitted here. But it's just, how on earth did this game finish only 4-0? Because we start with Connor Smith. He gets a shot away from the edge of the box. 3 minutes in, 1-0 Accies. And in the next chance, ball gets crossed in, it hits off Sam Graham and it goes into the back of the net for an own goal. 2-0 Accies. See, like the rest of that half, it was all Airdrie. Airdrie were just constantly, like, it was as if, it's like watching the highlights, it was as if Airdrie were camped in that Accies third. It was just shot after shot after shot. It was just a barrage, and then it's just, and Accies get a goal disallowed just before half time, and I'm not sure what for. I think it was for offside. But it's like you go into half time and it's like you get to the half time point and you're thinking, how on earth is that 2-0? It's just like, how have Airdrie not scored yet? And then we get into the second half, and then O'Hara manages to get a goal for Accies to make it 3-0 in like the midst of a stramash. And it's just sort of, they're getting that break, but Airdrie aren't. It's just like that sort of thing just isn't happening for Airdrie at all. And then McGowan scores a header in the 82nd minute, 4-0 Accies, game over. But as I'm saying about how on earth did Airdrie not score, if you were to like not tell anyone what the score was, and you were to read out these stats, you will see where I'm coming from. Airdrie had 18 shots. Accies had 19. Airdrie had 9 of those shots on target. Accies 10. What? Again, I was just as I was saying this about Morton. I've said this multiple times about Dunfermline, where it's just a case of if you don't have someone who's going to take those chances, you are going to be punished. That's why Livingston were winning games, because they were punishing teams for not taking their chances. This is what happens. Like, how do you have that sort of stat sheet and just not score? It was just bizarre to watch.
It was the same last week as well, though, for Hamilton when they played against us. They never had many chances, and they go and score 3 goals in 7 minutes. So they've also got that killer instinct in them now. But again, with Airdrie, I feel like a lot, from what I've watched of Airdrie so far this season, a lot of their shots seem to come from outside the box, more of a hit and hope, almost. I don't know if you maybe picked up the same kind of thought as well, but I feel like we get the ball to Adam Bizzle quite a lot, and his first thought is just touch and get it gone, rather than creating real opportunities. It's more what I kind of see from this Airdrie team, because they're bottom of the league, they're struggling, and I feel like they're just desperate to get that goal in the hope that breeds confidence through the team, and it's just no coming at the minute. They've got no luck.
I will say that, I mean, part of the reason why Airdrie didn't score was the Aki's goalkeeper, Albinson. He made a few really good saves in that game. And maybe if it was... who was the other goalkeeper Aki's had? Dean Linus? I think it's like if he's in goal...
Yeah.
It's like if he's in goal, Airdrie get at least one. And it's just like...
Yeah.
It was like the complete opposite of the game on Tuesday, where it's a case of the game on Tuesday for Airdrie was just, they were just terrible. I was just like, they were never scoring in that game, apart from the fact where they had one really good attempt that Kev made a really good save for. But and for this one, it was just why? I'd be questioning everything.
Got to give credit to Ackle because they lost to us in the cup game on TV. Then they play Falkirk at home on the TV, and they get turned over as well. And they've kind of turned a corner now, almost as if they've fixed whatever was going on. And they scored 3 against us. They scored 4 against Airdrie. So they've got 7 goals in 2 games. Also, they've turned a corner, so you've got to give them credit because the fans were slowly turning on John Rankin.
Yeah, it's like there is now a definite trend when it comes to the bottom 3 teams. Like as I've been saying about just not scoring goals, the bottom 3 are the only 3 teams who haven't reached double digits yet for goals scored. And Airdrie are the worst of them. They've only scored 6 goals in 12 games. We're 12 games in and they've scored 6 and conceded 24. Like this is coming on to that the sort of form that our Broth showed for like the final 2/3 of last season, where it was just like it's like once Dick Campbell left and whoever it was who came in that they sacked. Was it Mark McGee?
And then Jim McIntyre.
Jim McIntyre, that's it. It's like it's like once he brought him in, it was just a case of just like, good lord, this team is awful. And it's just like, I have no idea how this is. I know they had their squad was definitely weakened over the summer. I did not think it was weakened this much. Like this is genuinely bad. It's like they're 4 points adrift, and again, if we don't, it's like they've not won a game since the opening game of the season, and that was against Ian Murray's Raith Rovers. That's a guaranteed win for them. And I do not see where they're going to get another win from. Maybe Dunfermline or Morton on another day against this Aki side, but good lord, they're fucked.
I remember watching
they're fucked.
Was it the second game of the season? They were away to Ayr United, the second, third game, and they get beat quite heavily.
They got pumped 5-0. They got pumped 5-0 on the telly, and it was just like...
I remember watching that, and I thought, what's happened to Airdrie? They've got this guy.
I was watching it. I was thinking to myself, we lost to this lot.
Remember the score in the pre-season game in the cup against East Kilbride?
They had such a good League Cup group stage as well. They had a really good League Cup group stage, and it's like they win their first game of the season. It's just like, yeah, that's it. Season's done.
Up to Aberdeen. They went to Aberdeen and played pretty decent, and we know how well Aberdeen have done this season. They've got Ben Wilson up top. He was scoring around 2-3 goals every game in the League Cup campaign. He's done absolutely nothing in the league, and that's their number 9. So again, they fall into that category, not having a striker that can score. But in pre-season, it looked like they may have the best striker in the league here.
I know, it's just madness. It's just mad what is going on. I don't even think anyone. I'd be amazed if anyone has predicted for Airdrie to finish bottom. I think maybe outside of, it's like your hardcore Motherwell and whatever fans who are just like, oh yeah, Airdrie, we hate them, they're going to finish bottom. It's like outside of those sort of people, I don't think anyone would have seen this coming, especially after what happened last season. And again, with the League Cup group stage, it's just sort of, Huh?
I had Airdrie finishing just outside the top four this season. I did not see this happening.
I was going to say, I had them in the playoff fight, like not as convincing as what it was last season, but I had them finishing sixth. There's like maybe like just outside the playoffs. Like in that sort of mix for most of the season. This isn't the playoffs that I was talking about.
Nah, it's been so bad. I rate East Kilbride really highly, and the fact Airdrie went to play them in the cup and dismantled them, and now look at them. They get put out by East Kilbride the other week as well, didn't they?
I did. They got beat by East Kilbride in the Challenge Cup.
Yeah, after giving them a very embarrassing scoreline in the summer.
It's like It's like in the Scottish Cup, Joe. At the end of the month, they're away to Dundee North End, who are they're in the Midlands League, so Tier 6. I will not be surprised at this rate if Dundee North End win. I will not be surprised.
The reason I won't be surprised is because also the hammered East Kilbride and get put out by them. They can't beat anybody in the Championship, no matter how hard they try. I think their fans are going to get into that game. There's going to be like a nervy atmosphere. And everybody's going to feel it, and this Dundee North End team are going to be like, fuck it, we've got nothing to lose. Let's just go play and see what happens.
Aye, absolutely. It's just... But we go from...
Your internet connection
WoW game to... What was that?
Your connection seems to be going.
Your connection seems to be going on my end. Is it? Oh, fuck. That is right at the bottom. That's fun. Yay.
I'm on 3 bars here.
Yeah, you're on full bars and I'm on, like, none. Fuck's sake.
It's back just now.
Is it fine now?
Yeah, you're back. Move your hand. Yeah, you're back. You're moving. Yeah, you're moving fine. Camera's fine.
Okay, cool. Let's just hope that this bit gets edited out. So we go from a less exciting game to Livingston 1, Queen's Park 1, and this is... I've been saying about Livingston being clinical, and yeah, that's just gone off a cliff, hasn't it?
Yeah. I said earlier on, you expected the reaction from them after the midweek game.
No. No. It was again, it was a 50-50 start to the game. It was probably like the biggest chance definitely being Stevie May with a 1v1 and somehow just not even hitting the target. But first half had not much, so the probably about 1,000 people who were at that game were probably just thinking, oh god, this is going to be a long one, isn't it? But the however many Livingston fans that there were there, well, they got to see Stevie May actually finish a chance. He manages to get a goal in the 50th minute. He just runs into the box onto a ball that's been put in. And there we go, Livingston 1-0 up. And as I've said, as we had mentioned, Livingston more than happy to just be clinical and just hold out and just take whatever comes at them. That lasted not even 10 minutes. Had ball gets put forward and George manages to get onto the end of it. He takes a shot, 1v1, edge of the box, bottom corner, easy days, 1-1. And then Queen's Park get a red card. We're getting a trend. We're getting a trend with this. This one, however, there is no denying it's a red card. Like, he's come in, and it's a high foot, and it's actually connected with the Livingston player's head. And it's not like the Livingston players, like, put his head down at, like, waist level or whatever just to try and force a red card for something daft. No, like, he was stood up. Like, and it's not like he's 5'6" or whatever. Like, he's not short. Like, how have you done that? Why is your foot that high? What are you doing? It was very, very silly red card. And then Queen's Park, however, despite being down to 10 men, do get the ball in the back of the net, but again, it's disallowed for offside from a free kick. And I think I mentioned this last week about how whether or not Tete Yengi will appear due to his outburst when he got taken off against the Rovers. And, you think, okay, he's been brought back, okay, he's still in the squad, he wants to show his worth. He misses an open goal. Like, the ball's come across, the goalkeeper's at the near post, he's stranded there, and he heads over, and it's just sort of, wow. I was saying things about this Livingston team, and it's just these last few. It's like I've said before, it's like they're not good, but they're clinical, and that's what's making them tick. And it's just sort of they're not even being clinical now. Like not these last few games. It's just been they've been found out. I think Davy Martindale's tactics. I guess he's going to need a bit of extra budget.
Do you think the honeymoon kind of period's over for Livingston? They've come down to the Championship. They've spent pretty well. They've outspent everybody else in the league. They've brought in good players. They're getting these good results, and then one bad result's derailed them.
Yeah, it's like you were saying about budgets, and it's just a case of the thing is like they've got solidarity payments from UEFA because of how well Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, and whatever are doing in Europe. I'm not sure if it's just a one-off payment at the start of the season, or if it's a case of as those teams continue to progress in Europe, it's like the prize money that each team gets given after each win. I'm not sure if a cut gets given to every team in the league plus whoever got relegated. I'm not sure if that's how it works. But yeah, it's just not looking good right now. They're definitely in a bit of iffy form right now.
I mean, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt from Queen's Park. Queen's Park are a good team. Callum Davidson spoke about his ambition to get promoted to the Premiership, but I think they do need to win their next game to get themselves back on track, because you've been in the Championship as long as we have. You know that a couple of bad results and it's hard to get back into the winning way again. Doesn't matter.
It's very much a case of it's like once you get into a poor run of form, it's very much a case of playing catch up for the rest of the season. That's a situation we probably find themselves in now. It's like Partick Thistle, after their pretty poor start, they're starting to catch up now. Well, we'll get onto them in a second. But it's a case of it's like you can have these sort of poor runs, and it can be the difference between 4 or 5 places in this league, because again, we don't have an obvious. Going into the season, there was very much a case of there's not an obvious winner. Livingston were, quite frankly, pathetic in the Premiership last season. Like they were. I'm not sure if they got relegated before the split or it was like the week after the split, and it's just like it's been a while since the team has been relegated that early.
So the Championship's one of those divisions as well where it's so close and like in the middle of the table. I know Livingston are just above it, but it's such a close league where 3-4 bad results going against you and everybody else has overtook you already, and then you start sliding down the table. When you look at it, it kind of knocks you a wee bit.
Yeah, it's like for years the Championship has just been mental with how close it is, and it's a case of with this season where again no big obvious favourites for promotion, no big obvious favourites for relegation. It was basically a free for all, and we're starting to get a picture of the season now. But it's like looking into it, it's like Livingston would have been looking at maybe not quite walking away with it as how Dundee United would have if we weren't just having a god-like season. Because, I mean, come on, it's like the two of us finished like nearly 20 points clear of Partick Thistle in third. It was just ridiculous how far ahead the two of us were.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's not going to happen this season. And so Livingston fans would have been like, thinking they could be the ones who would, just sort of eke out a lead, like just enough, maybe like just stay about around about like that 6-point mark, where it's just like you're not quite getting away from it, but you are leading the pack. That's what their expectations probably would have been, but like this is really just no. They're 6 points behind Falkirk now.
Yeah.
And
do you think Livingston have got players in the team that, like Stevie May, Teddy Inge, they've thought they'll come into the Championship, they'll have a good season, they'll rack up the goals, and it's not happening for them, so that might be why they're maybe derailing just now because of the bad result?
To be fair, I didn't really think that Livingston would. I didn't think Livingston would win the league. I put them down as third in my predictions, but so it's like for now, technically, according to my predictions, they're overperforming, but it's just like they've not been putting in the sort of performances that you would expect of champions, and that's showing.
Yeah, look at the difference between their performance and Falkirk's performances this season. One looks like they're going to go on and win the league. As we say, Livingston tipped to be up top 2, top 3, and too much inconsistencies.
Yeah, it's very much a case of they've built on a defence. They've only conceded 9 goals this season, but when it comes to attack, they've scored 15, which is 10 less than Falkirk. It's less than Ayr, and it's less than Hamilton.
Well,
17.
What I would say about comparing their goals scored to Falkirk's, take 6 off of Falkirk, because that comes down to one game. So it's
No,
not impressive.
we're going to count Livingston goals against Morton. We're going to count Falkirk's goals against Morton. We're not getting away. That game
Livingston drew 1-1 with us, so
I'm allowed to take away Ian Murray's results against Airdrie, but you're not allowed to take away that game against Falkirk. I'm the host, it's my rules. Yeah, one team now who's definitely starting to catch up with Livingston is Partick Thistle. Unfortunately, we don't have Kieran or Manpreet on to talk about this, but they did manage to get the win against Dunfermline. This was one where it was very much an end-to-end game, and as I was saying about Dunfermline somehow scoring 3, this was very much back to normal service, where how on earth did Dunfermline not score in this game? Like, some of the chances Dunfermline had, where it's a case of, again, a clinical striker probably puts them away, but it is Robinson from heading home from a free kick in the 57th minute that gives Partick all 3 points. Like the whole game, the game as a whole was, again, it was just end to end. There was plenty of chances for both teams, but Dunfermline, I would say, definitely had the better chances in this one, and just came away with nothing.
Story of their season, isn't it? I mean, such a poor season in front of goal, then they go and bag 3 goals, and then don't carry on with it. I mean,
they've used up that allocation.
I mean, the Partick Thistle goalkeeper, I'm really impressed with him this season. Miles Roberts, is it Watford he's on loan from?
I think it is Watford, yeah. He's been really good.
He's kept so clean sheets in almost every game this year. He's been an excellent signing for them. Probably the reason why Dunfermline never scored in the game.
Can we see?
I'm sure he's top in the Championship for the most clean sheets.
I'd like to thank Google for not letting me see a clean sheet table. They've got everything. They've got, it's like they've got everything else, but just not.
I was reading the comments on this last week.
It does feel like I'd imagine he does have most.
Yeah, I'm sure he's top. 6 clean sheets for the league season.
And Flash Scores only has top scorers. Thanks.
I'm sure you go to the SPFL Stats Centre. Also, what I will say, I read the comments on here last week, and the Accies fans were coming because I never praised Hamilton for beating Morton 3-0. We get it, you pumped us. Well done.
I would say, that's not difficult, but then we got pumped off of Morton. So
yeah, we done use it. Fair play, Accies fans. You beat Morton in 7 minutes. We dominate the rest of the game. There's your praise.
There we go. Found it. Yes, Miles Roberts, 12 appearances, 6 clean sheets. Next highest is Nicky Holgar for Falkirk with 5. And yeah, you're definitely missing Ryan Mullen. He's got 4 clean sheets and 6 appearances for Morton.
Yeah, we really miss him. Because as soon as he got injured, Gary Woods went in and he was good, but we're conceding 1, maybe 2 goals, and now it's just 10 and 3 games, so it's just become normal, isn't it?
Yep, welcome to the joys of being shite at football.
But no, Miles Roberts is an excellent goalkeeper for them. What's it, 6 clean sheets in 12 games?
Aye, 6 clean sheets in 12.
Yeah, that's quite impressive. I mean, considering the start Partick Thistle had, you never really thought that they'd have a goalkeeper that would be able. He's also been keeping them in the game.
Aye, there's definitely been a few games like that where he's been keeping them in it. I think it was like the one where they beat Queen's Park last week, 1-0. It's like Miles Roberts made multiple saves that kept them in that. He's really, really good. I definitely
Did he going on at Watford to potentially challenge in their first team from anything that you've seen of him so far? Because I know there's been Partick Thistle fans raving about him so far, but also the difference between Championship and English Championship is night and day.
I think the jump between the Scottish Championship and the English Championship is probably a bit too much for him to be challenging for the first team. But you know, like, all the best to him. Except for when he plays against Raith, of course. I hope he just like chucks the ball into the net.
I'd say Anders as well.
I'd seen a clip got shared either today or yesterday, and it was from a Raith Rovers versus Partick Thistle game from like 2005, and it's one of the funniest things I've seen, but it's also one of the most Raith Rovers things, where Partick Thistle play, it's like a P-roll of a shot, and it hits the post, and then rolls across the line, hits the other post, and it's starting to like go back out, but then for whatever reason, the Rovers goalkeeper has slid in, and the ball has gone into the bottom corner, and he's like faked injury. If Miles Roberts can do that every single time Raith play against Partick, then I'd be more than happy to endorse a move to the English Championship. You know, be like a first team starter at Watford.
I could see him playing the Premiership next season. You know, for like a Kilmarnock. That maybe not Kilmarnock because I got McCrory, but see that kind of level of team.
Like a bottom half, 6. Like a bottom half Scottish Premiership team. I was going to say St Johnstone, but I think St Johnstone are not going to be in the Premiership next season.
You don't think St Johnstone?
Although saying that, actually no, Simo's in. They seem to be doing quite well.
Hibs.
Hibs,
Hearts, or ideally St Mirren, who. Let's not catch a legal case. We're talking about them right now.
You are not in a position to talk about legal cases.
We've had one issue. We've had one issue this season. When the guy was here a few weeks, he was here for a pay, and then he was off.
I'm not sure what's worse, Marlini or Greenock.
It's the fact he moved house to live in Greenock, right in the town centre. Not even in Glasgow, the surrounding areas, just slap bang in the middle of Greenock.
I don't blame Jet for doing what he did then. He must have seen.
He's blended in with the wrong crowd.
Immediately. But enough about jail talk. We need to talk about the games for next weekend. We do have Friday night action once again, and again it is Ayr United away from home. I think the BBC were definitely banking on Ayr continuing to have this fairy tale start to the season, and that is not happening. I am glad that we've contributed to that. But yeah, they are away against Greenock Morton. I am sure that will be a fun game to watch.
It'll be so exciting, but I'm actually looking forward to having this back at home. Friday night in front of the cameras at Capel, it's always a good game. It's always a good atmosphere against Ayr United as well. They bring a good support. Hopefully we can get behind the players. The fans have actually been decent behind the players in this wee run of form, but with 2 good players coming back, hopefully we can get back to winning ways, but it'll be difficult.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like you've had just, 9 players injured, and then you had a player sent off against Queen's Park. It's just sort of like you can nearly make a full 11 now of the players that you don't have available.
Yeah, crazy. But
they're slowly but surely coming back. And as I say, Ali Crawford will be a massive boost. Nathan Shaw obviously won't start because he's got the pre-season or nothing, but it's good to a good confidence for the players as well, knowing that there's more coming back and they're maybe not going to be relied upon as heavily, having that pressure on them. But we know how good Ayr can be. We're not don't kind of get fooled by that. They are still a good side, dangerous, but I think it'll be a good game.
And then the other games we got Hamilton against Livingston. That one will be interesting to see, seeing as it's a case of two teams who apparently just decide at random points to be the most clinical teams on the earth.
There's
just
no going to be in
going
between
up against each other.
That's either going to be a goal fest or a snooze fest. There's no one in between on that.
No in between.
Yeah,
this is either finishing 3-0 or 0-0. We also have Queen's Park against Dunfermline. Falkirk at home to Airdrie. That is going to be one to look out for, just to see what the final score is with that one. If Falkirk can put 6 past a Morton side, which, as you say, are ravaged with injuries, but are known for being quite defensively solid, what are they going to do to this Airdrie side? Losing 1-0 will be the funniest outcome.
Falkirk fans have been saying that Airdrie's always a tough game for them. I know they had each other in League One and all that, but I wouldn't be surprised if Falkirk went out there and done what they've done to us again. Because there was a lot of confidence for them to go and also do what they've done to us. They've done it. You look at Airdrie and you'd think the same thing, wouldn't you? I mean, they're struggling to even score a goal at the minute, and for Falkirk, it could be a real statement of intent. Livy have dropped points in the last 2 games, so they'll be looking at it like, let's go and show what we can do now.
And then, of course, the final game is Partick Thistle against Raith Rovers. That one looks to be quite interesting. Both teams on an upturn of form after quite a poor start, so I will be at that game. So I'll be looking forward to that one. And depending on the result, we will see whether or not Kieran or Manpreet are on.
Are you confident to get 3 points? Would you take a draw against Partick Thistle?
Yeah, I would take a draw. I think Partick, they're clearly on a good run of form, and Firhill, it's one of my favourite places to go as an away fan. Just a nice trip to Maryhill, but it's just obviously I want to win, but it just depends on the day. We'll see how it goes, but I feel like going into it, I'll be happy with a draw.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a good game. I always look at Partick Thistle v Raith Rovers and be like, that's I don't know if it's just based on news last season, but that's a top 4 game. That's a game.
We were definitely is most people's choices for top 2, definitely, at least in the playoffs. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that goes. Actually, with Partick getting that win against Northumberland, they have gone above Queen's Park to go into 4th now, so they're back in the playoff spots.
Yeah,
maybe the title charge isn't quite over.
Maybe a wee bit too late. I mean, we never know if Falkirk are going to fall away, but I think for Partick fans, I don't really think they care now if they win the division or not. They just want to get promoted at this point.
That's what Kieran was saying. It was a case of if they don't get promoted, then there is some serious issues financially, which we've seen how that can happen with a certain Highland club that I have made too many videos about.
There's only so much you can go on about wanting to win the title, and obviously you're buzzing when you win the league title, but promotion's just a goal, isn't it? When you've been in the league that long.
So, of course, that's next week's fixtures, and we will cover those next week. Hopefully, we'll have more people on this time around, like it was last time. I feel like it's nice having more people, more perspectives, but it is what it is. Things happen. But that is all for this week's Championship Roundup, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.